The region of East Prussia is the assembly area for German Army Group North, and this is where the German units in that army group will be moving into the Soviet Union from. On screen, you can see the highlighted German territory in a light gray color. This will be the territory that Germany will be invading the Soviet Union from. For the invasion of the Soviet Union, Germany has amassed 3 army groups: North, Center, and South. For the purpose of this video series, I will only be covering the movements of Army Group North. Now we transition to the territory of the Soviet Union, which is highlighted on screen in a light red color. The Soviet territory includes the recently annexed Baltic states that we had walked through earlier, and the captured and absorbed Finnish territory from the Winter War that Finland and the Soviet Union fought the previous winter. The highlighted area is the Western USSR, which only covers about a fourth of the entire Soviet Union. It is by far the most important part of the USSR, as it contains roughly 75% of its population and most of its factories and resources. If the western part of the Soviet Union falls to the Germans, the rest of the USSR will most likely collapse. Now we move on to the country of Finland, which is colored on the map in a light blue color. Finland is wanting revenge for its loss last year in the Winter War with the Soviet Union, and wants to fight to reclaim its territory from the Soviets. Finland is unique in this situation where they are not a full member of the Axis alliance like, say, Germany, Italy, or Romania, but it will fight with Germany as an Axis non-aligned member to achieve its goals. Now as we zoom back out, we can see all 3 countries highlighted in their respective colors that will soon be engaging in the largest series of land battles in human history. Now let's move back to the map, and I want to walk you through the features of my map and what they represent visually for the movement of the various units across this series. Now to the first major feature on my map, we're adding major cities. So they are represented in black, usually outlining the city itself. They are urban centers of over 250,000 people. Major cities are usually centers of commerce with factories producing goods for the war effort. Major cities also contain large supply depots, which are an integral part of maintaining your army's supply and keeping several armies fielded. Major cities are highly sought after objectives by both sides, and each side will do whatever they can to claim more of them. Now we are going to add medium and minor cities to the map. These cities can vary in population from several hundred to nearly 250,000 people. They are good staging locations for offensive actions, or they can be turned into defensive strongpoints to hold up the enemy. They usually have pretty good infrastructure, and they often have multiple places for supply depots in them as well. Now we are adding railroads to the map. This is colored in a dark brown. So railroads in 1941 are how both sides primarily transport and supply their respective armies. Without control of major or even minor side railroads, it is very hard to advance or defend a region, as the control of rail largely dictates the movements of each side's armies. They are incredibly important and will dictate the ebb and flow of the coming campaign. So now let's add roads onto the map, which will be colored in red. So roads are pretty straightforward. They allow for quick movement of units, especially motorized units. They ease the burden on the rail logistical network, allowing several units to move down multiple roads at the same time, which then eases the logistical burden of an army or army group. Now I want to jump back to the main map with all the units on it. I now want to go over the makeup of each side's armies in the northern sector of the front on the eve of Operation Barbarossa, so that going into the next animated episode, you will know all the units involved on each side and how those units will be engaging each other in combat and how that will be displayed on the tactical map in the coming episodes. So starting on the German side, we have the German 18th Army under the command of Georg von Küchler. So starting in the north, we have the 291st, 61st, and 217th Infantry Divisions in the 26th Army Corps. Moving south, we have the 11th, 1st, and 21st Infantry Divisions in the 1st Corps. Then in the Army Reserve, there is the 58th and 254th Infantry Divisions. So the 18th Army is tasked with moving along the Baltic coast and the Baltic states towards its ultimate objective of Leningrad. Moving to the right, we now have the German 4th Panzergruppe under General Erich Hoppner. The 4th is made up of, from left to right, the 1st and 6th Panzer Divisions, the 36th Motorized Infantry Division, and the 269th Infantry Division in the 41st Motorized Corps. Continuing to the right, the 290th Infantry Division, 8th Panzer Division, and the 3rd Motorized Infantry Division make up the 56th Motorized Corps. Army Reserve, we have the SS Division Totenkopf, which is partially motorized and is able to keep up with the rest of the army. The 4th Panzer Group is tasked with breaking up Soviet positions on the border, encircling and destroying as many of those units as possible before moving further into the Soviet Union with the ultimate objective of capturing the city of Leningrad. On to the final German army in Army Group North, we have the German 16th Army. Commanded by Ernst Busch, the 16th is made up of, from north to south, the 30th, 126th, and 122nd Infantry Divisions in the 10th Corps, then moving south, the 123rd and 121st Infantry Divisions in the 28th Corps, and finally the 12th and 32nd Infantry Divisions in the 2nd Corps, which themselves make up the extreme right flank of the Army Group. The 16th Army's objectives are to move through the Baltic states and northern Belorussia, and keeping firm lines of communication open with Army Group Center. All of these German field armies are controlled by German Army Group North. The Army Group is commanded by Wilhelm Ritter von Lieb. So Army Group North directly controls the Army Group Reserves, which, as shown on screen, are the 86th Infantry Division, the SS Polizei Division, the 251st Infantry Division, as well as 4 security divisions that will follow the Army Group. These are the 207th, 285th, 281st, and the 206th. The German Army Group also has Luftflotte 1, which is commanded by Alfred Keller, as you can see on the map, highlighted blue. This air group is tasked with engaging Soviet air forces in the northern sector, attacking enemy troop concentrations, supply lines, armored vehicles, logistical hubs, etc. They will be working primarily in close conjunction with the 4th Panzer Group to aid armored units in breaking the enemy lines and facilitating fast movement across the battle space for the German forces. These are the main German forces involved in the northern sector. There are some German Kriegsmarine or naval units that will be engaging the Soviet Navy in the Baltic, as well as laying minefields across the Baltic and in the Gulf of Finland, but they are not visually represented on the map as they are a tiny, tiny component of the campaign. Let's transition to the Soviet forces in the northern sector. The first Soviet field army we'll be talking about is the Soviet 8th Army under the command of Peter Sobennikov. The 8th Army is guarding the Soviet flank on the Baltic coast through the interior of Lithuania. The army from left to right is composed of the 10th, 90th, and 48th Rifle Divisions in the 10th Rifle Corps. To the right of that, we have the 125th and 11th Rifle Divisions in the 11th Rifle Corps. In the rear is the reserve 12th Mechanized Corps with the 23rd and 28th Tank Divisions and the 202nd Motorized Rifle Division. The Army's main goal was to hold the Soviet frontier in conjunction with the Soviet 11th Army. Now moving to the other frontline Soviet field army, we have the Soviet 11th Army. The 11th is commanded by V.I. Morozov and is tasked with guarding the interior of the Baltic states, and its mission was to defend the Baltic area in conjunction with the 8th Army. The 11th is made up of, from north to south, the 5th, 33rd, and 188th Rifle Divisions in the 16th Rifle Corps, which is holding the front line. Moving southeast, there is the 3rd Mechanized Corps that has the 23rd, 126th, and 128th Rifle Divisions. And further behind that is the 5th and 2nd Tank Division and the 84th Motorized Rifle Division in that corps as well. Finally, in reserve are the 184th and 179th Rifle Divisions of the 29th Rifle Corps. These two Soviet armies, the 8th and 11th, are going to be taking the brunt of the initial onslaught from Army Group North. Now moving to the 27th Army, commanded by Nikolai Berzarin. The army is in the front's reserve, and from north to south is the 180th and 182nd Rifle Divisions in the 22nd Rifle Corps. Moving south, the 181st and 183rd Rifle Divisions in the 24th Rifle Corps. The Army directly commands as well the 67th Rifle Division, which is on the Baltic coast, very close to the border with Germany, as well as the 16th Rifle Division, which is near Riga. The Army is tasked with being the reserve army for the front and being able to quickly respond where it is needed on the front line. These three armies are under the command of the Northwestern Front, which is commanded by Fyodor Kuznetsov. The Northwestern Front also commands the VVS Northwestern Front, which is the Soviet Air Force for the Northwestern Front. The VVS Northwestern Front will soon be under constant, heavy air attack and will quickly lose the majority of its command in the coming weeks. The Northwestern Front directly controls the reserves for the front, which are the 5th Airborne Corps, moving from south to north, the 10th Airborne Brigade, the 201st Airborne Brigade, and the 9th Airborne Brigade. Also, the front has control of the 21st Mechanized Corps around the city of Uritsa. The 21st Mechanized Corps consists of the 185th Motorized Rifle Division and the 46th and 42nd Tank Divisions. Moving north to the Soviet-Finnish border, we have the Soviet 23rd Field Army, commanded by P.S. Pizhnenikov. From north to southwest, there is the 142nd and 115th Rifle Divisions in the 19th Rifle Corps, then the 43rd and 123rd Rifle Divisions in the 50th Rifle Corps. The Army also has the 70th Rifle Division attached, which is currently forming in Leningrad. This army's objective is to hold the Finnish-Soviet border as far from Leningrad as possible. Now moving to the Soviet 7th Field Army, commanded by Philip Gorilenko. Moving from south to northeast, we have the 168th, 198th, 237th, and 54th Rifle Division, not in Rifle Corps, directly controlled by the Army. We also have the 71st Rifle Division forming near the Finnish border. This army's objective is to hold the newly acquired Soviet territory between the lakes Ladoga and Onega. Commanding these armies is the Northern Front under the command of Markian Popov. The front is planning to have an air command attached called VVS Northern Front. It is currently forming in the Leningrad region and is not yet active. The front also has direct control of several reserves such as the 177th and 191st Rifle Divisions near Leningrad, as well as the 1st Mechanized Corps near Pskov with the 3rd Tank and 163rd Motorized Rifle Divisions. Now let's close out this walkthrough of the forces involved with the Finnish forces. So as you can see on screen, we have the Finnish Karelian Army under the command of Axel Heinrich. The Karelian Army is composed of, from south to northeast, the 2nd, 19th, and 7th Infantry Divisions in the 7th Corps, and the 11th and 5th Infantry Divisions, as well as the 1st and 2nd Infantry Brigades in the 6th Corps. The German 163rd Infantry Division is also attached to support this army as needed. The Finnish forces are also comprised of 2 additional independent corps further south. These are, from south to north, the 8th, 4th, and 10th Infantry Divisions in the 4th Corps, and the 12th, 18th, and 15th Infantry Divisions in the 2nd Corps. So now let's zoom back out to the main front line. So now we can see the entire order of battle for both sides on the eve of Barbarossa. Wow, so this video definitely turned out a lot longer than I originally intended it to be, but that's okay. I wanted to give you guys a really in-depth overview of what we're going to be seeing in the coming episodes. I really appreciate your time and energy in watching this episode and kind of getting prepared for the rest of this series. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. These videos, as I'm sure you can understand, are an incredibly lengthy process to research and create, so your support is very much appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in episode 2.